Welcome to Wall is on Wire. Today we're talking about Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's swift clarification following an international summit.
Yeah, it's quite something.
We are jumping straight into the immediate controversy around just a single photograph taken at the 47th ASEAN summit.
Mm-hmm.
A seemingly routine diplomatic moment just exploded into a domestic political crisis almost instantly.
It really highlights a persistent truth in Malaysian politics, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The gap between international formality and, domestic moral scrutiny is often tiny. The scenario itself is pretty simple on the surface. PM Anwar greeting the President of the Philippines, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., and his wife, First Lady Luis Araneta Marcos. Just a standard photo op.
Standard, yes, until suddenly it wasn't, because of the specific angle it was shot. That one photo went viral, basically, and it led certain religious figures to instantly claim, to allege, that the Prime Minister had kissed the First Lady's cheek.
Which, sounds almost absurd from an international perspective.
Right. But we know the stakes involved here are incredibly high domestically.
Stakes couldn't be higher. For a leader like Anwar, especially heading a diverse unity government,
Yeah.
and constantly facing critics questioning his conservative credentials.
Mm.
Well, upholding perceived religious standards, moral standards, it's absolutely vital for political survival.
It's non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So if an image even suggests a deviation, the political pressure is immediate. It just bypasses policy completely. It's right at that core image.
And that's the crux of it, isn't it? That visual suggestion, even if it's just an illusion, demands an immediate high-level response. Anwar chose not to let it fester. He actually dedicated time during the closing press conference of the entire 47th ASEAN summit.
Which is usually for major geopolitical stuff.
Exactly, a platform for policy outcomes, and he's using it to debunk a photo angle.
That strategic decision itself tells you everything. It shows how severe he perceived the threat to be. And his defense was, well, technically quite precise. He argued the whole thing was just an illusion, purely caused by the angle of the photograph.
So he wasn't apologizing, more like correcting a visual misinterpretation. A lie, almost.
Precisely. Positioning himself as correcting a factual error, not admitting fault.
And he went into specifics, didn't he? Which is where it gets kind of interesting.
Yeah, he did.
He clarified that while the First Lady, Luis Araneta Marcos, did hold his hand, or perhaps his arm during the greeting.
Which is a pretty standard, polite international gesture.
Totally normal. But he insisted, on the record, that there was absolutely no touch to the cheek. No kiss.
He was basically giving a play-by-play, a technical deconstruction of a handshake and greeting.
Had to become his own photo analyst right there at the podium.
He did. He specifically pointed out the visual issue, saying, and I'm quoting him roughly here, "Really, there was no touching or kissing your cheek. It was photographed from the right side that caused the misunderstanding."
Wow. I mean, when a prime minister at a major international event has to clarify his body position relative to someone else's cheek for a domestic audience?
It just underscores that intense difficulty, doesn't it? Separating diplomatic duty from the expectations of religious observance in the public eye. It's tough.
It sounds incredibly frustrating, which, brings us to his reaction towards the critics themselves.
Yeah, because these weren't just anonymous online comments.
No, these were religious figures, some with significant moral authority among parts of the population.
And they used that authority pretty forcefully. They accused him directly of hypocrisy and even sinful behavior.
Those are heavy terms.
Incredibly potent in Malaysian political discourse. Calling a leader a hypocrite regarding their faith, well, that fundamentally challenges their fitness to govern, their moral compass.
It's an immediate attempt to undermine his legitimacy, basically.
Absolutely.
So he didn't just clarify the facts of the photo, he actually pushed back on the accusers themselves, challenged their integrity almost.
He did. He essentially told them they failed a basic test of diligence, whether journalistic or religious. He said publicly they should please first ask me, about the supposed hug and kiss before rushing to judgment.
That's a strong move.
It's a crucial strategic move. By flipping it like that, demanding they seek facts before making these big spiritual pronouncements, he's trying to reclaim that moral high ground.
Implying their rush to judgment based on just one dodgy photo angle is maybe the real moral failing.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It highlights how quickly serious faith-based allegations can spread now and, frankly, threaten stability. It shows the vulnerability that comes with modern information flow.
And you could almost see that tension, that pressure of trying to explain something so visual and subjective right there at the press conference. There was that moment where he was trying to explain the physics of the photo angle even more, and then he just stopped.
Realized how slightly absurd the whole exercise was becoming, perhaps. He just stopped mid-explanation, said something like, oh, well, never mind.
And the report said the journalist actually laughed.
They did. And, that moment of levity, that shared acknowledgement of the situation's strangeness, it's actually quite an effective political tactic sometimes.
How so?
He's signaling, maybe subconsciously, to the neutral observers, the international press. Look at this. Look what trivialities they're forcing me to address instead of real issues. Look at the pettiness. He kind of used the absurdity to deflate the accusation.
Interesting take. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit from the photo itself. Let's look at the broader political implications here. Why was this clarification seemingly so vital for his government's stability?
Well, it really isn't just about one photo, is it? It's about the structural pressures on the unity government he leads.
Right, the coalition dynamics.
Exactly. You've got various factions in there, some deeply conservative, others more liberal. If he allows a narrative of hypocrisy to stick, even on a seemingly small diplomatic matter, he risks alienating or losing the support of the more conservative elements within his own coalition. And that support is absolutely essential for keeping a parliamentary majority.
Okay, so the calculation isn't, is the rumor true, but rather, does the perception created by the rumor threaten my mandate?
That's pretty much it. By tackling it head-on, and at the ASEAN closing no less, he was sending a very clear signal, especially to his domestic conservative base.
What signal?
That he takes matters of religious conduct and perception extremely seriously, even when he's on the world stage handling diplomacy.
Okay, that makes sense, because his political opponents often try to paint him as being, well, maybe too reformist or lax on religious or cultural standards.
That's a constant line of attack. He couldn't afford to just hand them free ammunition on this. Spending, 5 minutes in a press conference to kill a potentially damaging rumor is probably seen as cheaper.
Politically cheaper, yeah.
Than spending months trying to rebuild trust after a moral allegation really takes root and spreads. It's just a necessary cost of doing politics in such a highly sensitive environment.
It forces this incredible balancing act, then. He has to follow international diplomatic customs, greetings, photos, handshakes with spouses.
All standard stuff globally.
While simultaneously adhering to the very conservative public conduct standards expected by a significant portion of his audience back home. It sounds like walking a tightrope.
Without a safety net, pretty much. And every single step on that tightrope is being filmed, photographed, and potentially analyzed from the least flattering angle possible.
So this incident really just illustrates that a leader's job now often involves managing optics and cultural sensitivities almost more aggressively than managing the actual policy agenda sometimes.
In certain situations, yes. He wasn't just defending a photo angle. He was defending his personal integrity to shore up his government's stability.
It really makes you think about the intense pressures on leaders in complex societies like Malaysia. So here's a question for, everyone listening. Given these pressures, this constant need to balance diplomacy and domestic religious legitimacy, do you think clarifying these kinds of minor visual misunderstandings is actually a necessary political tactic, a kind of preemptive strike?
Sure.
Or does dedicating such a high-profile platform to debunking it actually risk giving the rumor too much weight, too much legitimacy in the first place? What do you think?
It's a genuine gamble, I think.
Yeah.
But in this specific political climate, silence is often read as guilt or maybe indifference.
Right, you can't just ignore it.
Especially when the accusations thrown were so serious. Hypocrisy, sin, those words carry immense political weight. They probably felt they had to tackle it instantly, no matter how minor the trigger incident seemed.
So the big takeaway?
I'd say the ultimate lesson here is that in these highly sensitive political and religious contexts, the perception generated by a single, maybe badly angled photograph can carry immediate, almost governmental weight. It forces leaders into fighting these image battles right alongside the fundamental policy battles.
A fascinating, if maybe frustrating, reality of modern politics, especially in certain environments.
Absolutely. It's the world they operate in.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.